Man, I kind of wanted that music to play because I love the part when they say, hit me with your best shot. I really do. Boy, they've tried to hit us and clobber us and defeat us and take our country away, and they ain't gonna do it. Look at this crowd. Look at this crowd. Guys, it's a Saturday. It could be a Tuesday night. It could be a Monday afternoon or a Thursday morning. And we're seeing crowds like this everywhere across our state because Arizona knows that everything is on the line. And Arizonans are making time to get involved. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Isn't that absolutely beautiful? Just like you, I hate what has happened to our country, especially over the past 3.5 years. It's been just shocking to see what 3.5 years of this terrible, terrible Democrat leadership, I use that word loosely, lack of leadership, has done to our country. But what it has also done, and what I don't think they realize, is they have created something really special. They've awoken a sleeping giant instead of patriotic Americans. And we're showing up to vote. And we're going to vote them out of office. It's really wonderful. Listen, I've been on the campaign trail way too many days to count, and I distinctly remember the last day of the governor's race. We held an incredible rally here that night. Was anybody here for that? It was pretty special, wasn't it? And I looked out at that crowd of amazing Arizonans, and I thought, this is the biggest movement I've ever seen. It couldn't possibly get bigger. Guess what? It's gotten a lot bigger. It's gotten a lot bigger now. More moms are getting involved in politics. More dads are stepping up and getting involved in politics. I've got grandmas and grandpas out there working. More young people are getting involved, knocking doors, getting involved politically. This is exactly what our founding fathers expected from us. It really is. But we weren't doing it very well before. How many of you, I'm going to take some, I thought voting was showing my civic duty and doing the right thing. It's more than just voting, isn't it? It's way more than just voting. It is knocking doors. It's talking to neighbors. It's running for office. It's getting involved. It's contacting your lawmakers and telling them what you think about a piece of legislation that they're working on. It is actually getting involved. Like, think about Benjamin Franklin when he was working on crafting the Constitution, and a woman stopped him and said, "What kind of a government have you given us?" And he said, "A republic, if you can keep it." We're in the if you can keep it part. And I am so impressed by all of you stepping up so that we can keep it. Thank you very much for doing that. We just came back from Tucson. We have an office down in Tucson. And you might say, Carrie, why would you have an office in the most blue city in the whole state? Why would you have a headquarters in the most blue county in the entire state? Because guess what? Democrats are waking up and they're voting Republican now. That is why. It's beautiful. We were down in Tucson and we drove into town with our beautiful bus, and we pulled up to a voting center and people started running over when they saw that we were there. And I had the first person who talked to me was a Democrat who said, "I'm voting Republican all the way down the ballot." And then a beautiful African-American voter said, "I used to be Democrat. I'm so disappointed in how the Democrats have been treating us. They just expect," she said, that we owe them our vote. She said, "I just showed up. I went in there and voted Republican, Trump, and right on down the ballot." And then I had a gorgeous Hispanic woman. She said she was a grandma, but I just can't believe it. She was too gorgeous. Not that grandmas aren't gorgeous, but she did not look like a grandma. She was a hot grandma. And she said, a hot Latino grandma. And she said, "I've been conservative my whole life. And they think that she said the Latinos are starting to come over. I believe that. And she's, but Ruben Gallego, my opponent, looks at, I know. I'm sorry to bring the mood down today. Ruben Gallego looks at conservative Latinos and says, you can't be a Latino if you're conservative. Can we prove him wrong on Tuesday? Arizona. I happen to live with 3 Latinos, my children and my husband, and they're all voting Republican, I can tell you that. Because guess what? Latinos care about their family, they care about their safety, they care about the economy, they care about a lot of issues just like everyone else. African Americans care about those same issues. Our native tribes are starting to vote more Republican. Isn't that amazing? Got line right here. We were up on the Navajo Nation with these incredible people, and you'd be surprised how many Trump signs you're seeing up there. It's actually a beautiful thing. What we are witnessing is the unification of America right now. We're all coming together under Make America Great Again, under MAGA. It's such a beautiful thing, and we can thank President Trump for that. He has woken us up to the corruption. Had we not had this last 3 years of absolute misery, we would not have known that the DOJ has been weaponized against us. We would not have known how corrupt the FBI is. We would not have known how corrupt the Democrat Party has become. And that's why I do try to speak to Democrats right now. We're bringing them over, but I try to tell them, this is not the old Democrat Party. This is not the party of Kennedy. Kennedy's on our side now, okay? We are bringing people together. I'm looking forward to getting into the U.S. Senate. My poll numbers are looking great. I call them our poll numbers because this is about all of us. You have been with me this whole time, and I thank you guys so much. We have 3 more days, and I need your help. How many of you are willing to go home today, pour yourself, a frosty glass of milk or whatever you'd like to drink, maybe order some food on the way home, and take your phone and go through your contact list. Can you do that? Go through your contact list. I've got 2 people who raised their hand over there. Who else is willing to do it? And they don't even know what I'm going to ask them to do yet. You got to go through that contact list. You write a text out and say, do you have a plan to vote on Tuesday? Or have you already voted? And you just copy and paste that through everybody. Oh, you know what? Maybe skip your Democrat friends. Or maybe not. Maybe they're going to vote Republican. Even if you got an old boyfriend or old girlfriend on there and you departed on good terms, text them. Make sure they're going to vote. We got to make sure everyone gets out to vote. If we all get out and vote, we win this, hands down. It's all about getting out to vote. So who can do that for me today? Awesome. There we go. There we go. That guy's going to take every phone in the house and do it in every phone in the house. And when I get to Washington, D.C., I'm going to help President Trump finish the wall, secure the border, and bring back a strong economy. Is that okay? And then I'm going to work on my pet project, which is reforming the fake news into real, honest press. Is that okay? We're going to take a long, hard look at the FCC licenses that these people have. We give them those licenses and they lie to us, and we're tired of you guys lying to us. So we're looking forward to giving those FCC licenses to people who are going to be honest with the American people. We're tired of the fake news. The days of the fake news are numbered. We're going to get some real journalists once again. So I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to turning Arizona around and making it strong and safe and affordable again. How about you guys? Are you ready for that? So, I'm sure you've already tired of raising your hand, but how many of you have already voted? Oh man, that's awesome. That is so incredible. Okay, and don't feel bad when I asked you to raise your hand. How many of you are going to vote Tuesday? Awesome. Make sure you get out there. I don't care if you wake up with a headache. And I think Gina said it. If you have been willing to stand in line, and we see it. We stand in line for these incredible rallies to see President Trump. Some people stand in line all night, all day. Then you got to be willing to stand in line because those lines are going to be long. Do not get out of line until you cast that vote, okay? Promise me that. Don't get out of line. Take some water, take some food, wear some comfortable shoes. Guys, our best days are ahead of us. I am so optimistic about the future. We got 3 more days to go before this election. And I know we're all sick and tired of it. We're sick and tired of the commercials. We're sick and tired of just the heaviness of this political season. But in 3 days, we save our country. We take back our country, and we start to make America great again. Thank you, Arizona. I love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Be ready to win on Tuesday. All right, I'm wearing my shirt intentionally. Chase more ballots, everybody. There are 400,000 Republican ballots here in Maricopa County that have yet to be returned. 400,000. Do you have one of them? I hope not. We have to find those ballots, and we have to get them into the system. We remember what happened in 2020. In fact, at Turning Point Action and Turning Point PAC, we made a promise that after 90 minutes, when they called the election for Joe Biden for Arizona, that we were going to work harder than ever before to return this state to Donald Trump in 2024. And these next couple of days, we need you to go work, not just to go vote, but to go find a new voter, to go find 2 new voters, to go find 3 new voters. Because I remember the sickness in my stomach that I felt when our home, Arizona, something that we said would never happen. How many of you thought the same, that we would never send electoral votes to a Democrat? And we said this would never happen. This is Arizona. This is the state of liberty, the state of freedom. This is state 48. And everybody, this election cycle, the message has been heard. So far, we are up 8.2% on early voting against the Democrats, everybody. And I have to say, for those of you that have voted early, I think you made a great decision, because you remember what happened in 2022 when they had long lines and printer issues. And for those of you that are voting on Tuesday, you need to vote. You need to bring a friend to vote. And I'm glad, though, because some people say, Charlie, I can't wait in line for 6 hours. I can't wait in line for 7 hours. And I went and voted early yesterday. But the big kicker is this, is there's a lot of people that agree with us. In fact, we outnumber the Democrats significantly in this state. And we have to find the people that have ballots sitting on their kitchen counter right now and get them into the system. But don't mail them in, because it will not be counted at this point if it's mailed in. Just to be clear, it will not arrive in time. They have to go to a voting center and drop it off. Because here's the kicker. Right now, the Democrats, they are going nuts in Pima County. They're going nuts in Phoenix. They have ballot chases all over the place. In 2020, though, here's the amazing news. We had 100,000 more registered Republicans than Democrats in this state. In this cycle, 2024, we have 300,000 more registered Republicans than Democrats. Everybody, this state is getting redder. We are becoming more Republican, but it does nothing if we win the debate and lose the vote. Do you know what my fear is that keeps me up at night? That we have won support, but we haven't won the votes yet. How many people do you know that say, oh, I love Trump, and say, oh, do you vote? Yeah, I don't know, I'm going to vote. You need to become a force multiplier, because going to events like this, you're going to hear from Don Jr., you're going to hear from our next Vice President, J.D. Vance. However, what's more important is you need to go these next 75 hours before Election Day closing, and you need to go through your entire phone, and you need to say, have you voted? Have you voted? Have you voted? You need to go to ask every single neighbor. And that's what we are doing every single day at Turning Point Action. Every day we are chasing ballots, save the country, because the stakes of this election, you know the stakes. On one side, we have a regime run by Kamala Harris that will keep this border open. You guys feel this in our communities. We see the price of the open border. You see the kids that go to Scottsdale Unified School District that are overdosing on fentanyl because of the drugs that are coming from the Mexican drug cartel. You feel the inflation here every single day. When Trump was president, the average income to buy a home in Phoenix, Arizona, you needed to make $75,000 a year. Now, $135,000 a year. Housing prices have nearly doubled in the valley, and you guys are feeling it. And do you know who is getting crushed? The young people that we represent every single day on college campuses. And many of you too, because we want a country where you own property and not rent like a Russian serf for the rest of your life. Home ownership is a necessary part of the American dream. And if there is just one fundamental reason to vote for Donald Trump over Kamala Harris, it's to prevent World War III. Do you guys agree we're not talking enough about how we are slow walking and sleepwalking into a nuclear war against Russia. This is one of the biggest issues happening in our country right now. And Kamala Harris is, by the way, they say Donald Trump makes the best deals ever. So they get Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger. We get Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, and Bonnie Kennedy. That's the best deal in political history, right? By the way, who here is a former or registered Democrat? Raise your hand if you are former. By the way, welcome to the Republican Party, all of you. This is a big tent party. This is a party that is broadening and widening and is ascendant. They are a party of bitterness, of cruelty. They are a party that does not believe in fundamental American truths. And that's why Tulsi Gabbard and Bobby Kennedy have endorsed us. You see, what is so profound about that? Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi ran for the presidency as a Democrat. They tried to become the president as a Democrat, but they did not leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left that. You see, our party is a very, very white party. If you believe in borders, in freedom of speech, in peace over war, you believe that young people should be able to buy homes, you're welcome in our party. The other side, they believe in the most radical ideas imaginable. Kamala Harris cannot tell you what she will do on day one, because we already know what she's done the last 4 years. And it will be even more radical. And this state will become a punching bag of a Kamala Harris regime. This state will be a victim of open border. You think inflation is bad now? Wait until she gets in her first 90 days of office. But we know what Donald Trump will do on day one. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, drill, baby, drill, secure the border, deport the people that have come here illegally. And one that we must repeat, because Arizona is one of the sports capitals of America, no men and women's sports. This thing is going to come down to the wire. All of us together can take ownership of this election. Right now in Arizona, the eyes of the planet are on Arizona, wondering, is this state going to go the way of Florida or go the way of Colorado? Let us be even more red than Florida. How does that sound, everybody? We're going to be caught. Everybody, this state is getting redder. I feel the energy. The Democrats are they're minimizing in their control of the state, but that only matters if we do the work. I guarantee you have 5 people that you know that are, wavering about voting. And that's what makes our movement different than their movement. Because right now, you have a machine versus a movement. They had a political machine with billions of dollars that run the entire mainstream media. They have the CIA, the FBI, the Department of Justice, Goldman Sachs, every major tech company. And we have a movement of everyday people that want their country back. But that will only mean something if you go and chase ballots. I know many of you say, Charlie, I've done everything that's been asked of me. Everything. I watched Fox News. I bought a pillow. I've done everything that's been asked of me. By the way, promo code Kirk at mypillow.com, just so we're clear, okay? And those slippers are amazing. You know what I'm talking about? Decent dream sheets. Everybody, it's not enough just to buy a relief factor and reverse mortgage your home and think you're saving the country. Instead, these next couple of days, you need to bring the volume of your advocacy to a fever pitch. Everybody in your circle needs to vote. And you can download the Turning Point Action app, by the way, and find which of your neighbors haven't voted yet. We will tell you which of your neighbors have not turned in their ballot. 400,000 Republicans have ballots on their kitchen counters right now. 400,000. And you might say, Charlie, what does one vote difference make? Well, this seating section right here has about 280 people. Our attorney general in this state became attorney general by 280 votes. And there were 200,000 Republicans that got ballots that did not submit them in the midterm election. 200,000. And we have this, by the way, you want to know how radical this attorney general is? Chris Mays, by the way, we have to get rid of her in 2026. Who's with me? That's product number one. You want to know how radical she is? She said she's investigating Donald Trump criminally for something he said at the Tucker Carlson event 2 nights ago, saying that Liz Cheney should have to pay the price for advocating for these wars, saying that if she advocating for the murder of Liz Cheney. Instead of our attorney general carrying on the cartels, killing our kids. She's trying to investigate the speech of Donald Trump. But you know what? That's our fault, not her fault, because we didn't turn out to vote. And we have to look at ourselves first and foremost and say, we easily could have found 300 more votes. We easily could have found 400 more votes. It's easy to complain, but we can only complain if we collapse on the finish line, everybody. And I'll close with this. I grew up in Chicago, but Arizona is my home. And many, who here moved to this state from somewhere else? Look at that. That's what I love about Arizona. Very few native Arizonans, unless you're LDS. You know, they're usually fifth generation, right? You're native, that's very rare. And our whole team, the only people that grew up in Arizona on our team are LDS. This state is what California used to be in the 1950s. It has this glimmer of, I don't care where you went to college. I don't care what family you came from. I care, do you have good character, and what do you do, and what do you bring to the table? Arizona is the best of the American sphere. It is where you bring your values to the table and you create something new. You guys that moved from somewhere else, probably from the Midwest or from California, you came here to go build a new life. And that is what America is all about, is that if you're going to go west to build a new life. And this state is in question right now of which way will it go? Because we are surrounded right now by states that have made bad decisions. New Mexico, California. But there's a unique moment where we can reject that and we can actually paint a beautiful new picture for State 48. And what does that look like? It starts very simply. It starts with us defeating Kamala Harris and triumphantly putting our 11 electoral votes behind Donald Trump on Tuesday. That is where it starts, everybody. And from now till Tuesday, there are thousands of people here just in Scottsdale. We are literally next to precincts that voted for Joe Biden. We are next to precincts that voted for Markell. And it's not because they won the argument. You want to know why it is? It's because we didn't turn out that extra 5%. Because people say my vote doesn't matter, or I don't think people represent me. We have a candidate who was a great president, who's facing 700 years in federal prison. They tried to take his business empire away from him, and he was shot and nearly shot again. The least you could do for that man in the next 70 hours is to get every single lazy person in your life to go turn in their ballot for that man who took a bullet for you. He took a bullet for you. Now go get ballots in the box for him. Let's win Arizona, everybody. God bless you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, guys. We have an incredible opportunity, something we probably have never had. We have the opportunity to not just put my father back into the White House, but have you seen the team that he has assembled around him? That can fix so many of the things that are broken and wrong in our country. Whether it's RFK Jr. on health, bringing in Tulsi Gabbard. I saw last night Ron Paul now wants to get involved. And then, how'd you like to set Elon Musk loose on the bureaucracy? It's truly crazy times, guys. I always told a story. Last summer, I took a couple of my boys. We went on a father-son fishing trip, and we came back, and I had my 10-year-old, my 14-year-old, and me, and we went to McDonald's. And let us be clear. When Donald Trump Jr. has cigarette shot at McDonald's, it is a serious problem. I get it. And I'm a reasonably spoiled individual, okay? I'm the son of a billionaire from Manhattan. I'm saying, when I grew up, I did not realize that McDonald's was a luxury item. And yet, because of the failed policies of the Biden-Harris regime, it's become a luxury. And that's the difference between my father, J.D. Vance, the team we've surrounded ourselves with. We want Americans to thrive again. And just barely surviving, like so many of us have been doing for the last 4 years, that's not acceptable in America. That's not the American dream. But it's stupid politicians, bureaucrats who are incompetent. They're the ones that have created this disaster. They're the ones that killed our jobs. They're the ones that created inflation. It's the Biden-Harris cost of living crisis that we're living through. They're the ones who created literally one of the only exports America's had for the last 50 years. You know what that one is? Your American dream. That's our only export. We send it to every country who hates our guts, and they're getting to live it. So that some bureaucrat in Washington can make a couple bucks on a consulting gig, or we can send another $250 billion to Ukraine. Man, I didn't think so. That's not a popular one. And yet they do it, right? You saw it 2 weeks ago, overnight. This was during the hurricane, right? We have Americans that lost their loved ones. They lost their homes. They lost businesses. FEMA has no money for them because they put up illegals in luxury hotels across America on your dime. Just so we're clear, it's not a government-funded program. It's a taxpayer-funded program. You have the privilege of that. So as they're doing that, and as Americans are suffering, they get a $750 loan. I don't know, guys. Under Bidenomics, it's not going too far. It's not going to help you with much. I mean, honestly, it's a slap in the face to anyone who's been paying taxes. Those who've never paid taxes, those who are illegally, here, you get $10,000 at the border. It's disgusting. I had the privilege yesterday going back there. I've been in North Carolina twice, just seeing the damage of what was happening, meeting these incredible people. And honestly, it's actually amazing to see. I got to see the worst of Mother Nature, but the best of America, the best of humanity, as they all came together. I was there with the folks from Samaritan's Purse who are doing the job that FEMA should be doing, but isn't. We were dropping off yesterday. We were dropping off clothes. It started to get cold down there. 2 weeks ago when I was there, we were dropping off generators and heating equipment for people who had none of those things. And you get to see so much of what real America was about. And I can assure you, while many have lost everything, they are fully aware just how much their government can't stand them at this point. So guys, it's very simple. It does not have to be this way, right? We went from a time of prosperity to a time of poverty. We went from a time of peace to a time of war. Each and every day we see ourselves inching closer to the brink of World War III. We keep funding those regimes. Like I said, you know, as the hurricane was going, they had no money for the people who are actually some like actual Americans, but they could pass an overnight resolution to send another $450 million to Ukraine, $175 million to Lebanon. Yesterday, I believe it was. Maybe it was the day before. I don't want to get fact-checked. They'll cancel me. They'll throw me in the gulags. They had another $450 million to Ukraine. Think about it. Like, on the eve of an election, in an issue that is so not popular, when they show they're not willing to take care of their own citizens, they can, out of thin air, pull off another, $500 million. What's a couple $500 million, right? You send your friend $601 in Venmo, they're going to audit you. But when the Pentagon loses $250 billion, $250 billion, just lost it. What's a couple $100 million between friends, right? So we have an incredible opportunity to fix all that, but we cannot do it by ourselves. We cannot do it alone. We cannot do it without each and every one of you participating. Okay, and that's not just voting for my father. That's voting straight Republican ticket. Okay? We need congressmen that are going to support my father. We need Carrie Lake in Arizona in the Senate. But we got to go further than that, guys. We need Republican state legislatures. We need Republican school board leaders so we can stop the indoctrination of our children. At this point, we need Republican, dog catchers. Because who knows what they're going to do with those dogs? We've been seeing the videos. I don't know. They're like, no, Dad, how dare you say that was a dog? It's like, it's a dog, it's a cat, it's something with 4 legs and really small. I can tell you what it's not. It's not a ribeye. It's not something any of you have ever barbecued before, I can assure you that. So we'll let the fact checkers do their thing because they'll do it anyway. But you see that, right? You see the fake news, you see the lies, you see the nonsense. Each and every day, whatever it is. You saw it yesterday. Donald Trump said they should put Liz Cheney before a firing squad. I was like, what? Like, did you listen to what he said? He goes, it's amazing all the people that are so apt, so ready, willing, and able to send your kids or yourselves off to war are never the ones that actually do it themselves. So he said, all of a sudden, when you're at war and you're standing there with a rifle and you got 9 others pointing at you, all of a sudden, maybe you wouldn't be such a warmonger. Like, when you watch the transcript, you understand that whatever disdain you have for the media, it is not enough. However bad... Am I right? I mean, however bad you think they are, like, it's not at, like, hey, it's slanted a little bit to the other side. It's just, it's at this point full-on propaganda. And again, you have the power to change all of that. You have the power to break down some of that bureaucracy. You have the power to turn off that and start going to all of the other alternative forms of media that are springing up because they have not acted in good faith. But again, you can't do it alone. My father by himself or my father with J.D., even the team he's put around him, they've shown they can cancel the most powerful man in the world. They can shut him off. They'll mince his words. They'll cut off his communications. They'll try to impeach him twice. They'll try to jail him. They'll try to take away his businesses. They'll try to bankrupt him. And when all of that doesn't work, you create enough rhetoric. You lie, right? Someone's a Nazi, a fascist. You say that enough. I'm like, I don't know. Doesn't seem like it. I mean, we did have 4 years under President Trump, and we had, like, an incredible economy. We had real wage growth for the lowest income earners. We were signing peace deals in the Middle East. We had a secure border. We're slowing down the fentanyl and drugs that are poisoning and killing all of our children. Doesn't seem like it was that unreasonable. No, but guys, the media will tell you Kamala Harris is going to be an agent of change. I'm like, I'm not buying it. You know why? Well, no, she's changed things for sure, but she's changed everything for the worse. I mean, we've seen that because we had 4 years under Trump and we had all those successes. And then it was like flipping a switch. Disaster. And honestly, that was the thing that was shocking to me. The most shocking was how quickly they could destroy our country, how quickly they could break up all the policies that were so effective so they can push their woke garbage on you. But again, without all of you guys, without the help in the Senate, I don't want to win the presidency if we don't have a good Senate, we don't have good House candidates, and we don't have it all the way downstream. I've been there. I get it. You know, I didn't get quite what they did to my father, but I did 50 hours of congressional testimony for treason. That's a crime punishable by death. Minor details at this point. It's like an average Tuesday for my family. And I understand that, I apologize, that I am not the upstanding citizen that Hunter Biden is, but now I know. Just ask CNN. But I have a feeling, guys, if that was my laptop, it'd be a little different. But just like we don't have the mainstream media and we don't have big tech doing our artificial boosting or the suppression of the other side like they do to all of us, you know, they also have 52 intelligence agents that say, it was definitely Russian disinformation. I'm like, I don't know. You know how I knew it wasn't Russian disinformation? Because Hunter Biden himself didn't come out and say it was wrong or it was off, right? Like, if that's my laptop and it's not me, I'm saying, like, hey, guys, not me. But they knew. And they had him doing that bidding. And then you see the ads on TV, you know, 30, 50, whatever it is, intelligence agents really support Kamala Harris. I'm like, you mean the same guys that lied to the American people? The people that talk about fascism, the people that talk about misinformation, they're the ones acting like actual fascists. They're the ones spreading misinformation. So for the next 3 days and change, guys, I just ask you to have the same fight you saw in my father, whether it was through his presidency, whether it's all the stuff they put him through after, whether it was on July 13th when they tried to literally kill him, when he got shot in the face and he came back defiant. Yeah, these days everyone's a tough guy on a keyboard, right? It's a little different when you actually get shot in the face, and that shows your true character. And that spirit I saw from him that day was the most proud I'd ever been of him. That spirit, that fight, that resolve, that's what kept us out of wars. That's what kept the dictators in check. That's what allowed us to make great trade deals. So Americans actually benefit from policy for a change. That's what we need, and we need all of you guys to have that for the next couple days. I know a lot of you have early voted. Raise your hands if you've early voted. All right. So now you have some free time. No. If I get to travel the country and do like 7 of these a day for the last 3 months, you guys can spend 3 days and drive your friends to the polls. You call your friends in Arizona, make sure they're voting straight ticket. Explain the other ballot initiatives to them if they don't know. Then you call your friends in the other swing states and all of the other states, because I want to make sure this is a blowout. We need to make sure it's too big to rig. So do it. Call 10, 15, 20, 30, 1,000 people a day. Make sure they're in there. You guys have to function like basically at this point like you're the third monkey in line for the ark, and it's starting to rain. Right? Because that's what it is, guys. When people are like, well, what's on the table? I'm like, everything. You know how I know? Because the other side says it. It's not just the Second Amendment they're going after. Right? You heard Hillary Clinton and John Kerry and all of them talking about, that pesky First Amendment. We can't let them have that. We got to maintain regulations to prevent the dissemination of misinformation. I'm like, so the people who have been the biggest liars, the biggest hoaxers, they want to be the arbiters of truth. That's not going to work out well. We've seen where this is going. As I said a little bit ago, we've had 4 years under Trump, and we've had 4 years under the Biden-Harris regime. She herself has said there's nothing she could think of that she'd do differently. Nothing. Really? Like, you wouldn't have done, like, the Afghan withdrawal differently? You wouldn't have maybe shut down the border so 100,000 Americans don't die of fentanyl poisoning every year? Human trafficking, sex trafficking, the crime from illegals, but the Democrats, no. It's only a few apartment buildings in Austin and Colorado, only a few apartment buildings that were taken over by armed, merciless drug gangs. It's like, honestly, I feel like I'm the star of the Truman Show some days. It's like, I'm waiting, you know what I mean? Like, I'm waiting for the camera to pop out of my ceiling and be like, we're just kidding with you, Don. But it's actually happening. So we need you guys to be in this fight with us. And I can assure you, as long as my father has your support, he will never, ever, ever stop fighting. So Arizona, for the next couple days, you get out there, you bring your friends, you get them to vote, you tell them and explain to them what is at stake, because they're not going to get it from other sources. And if you do that, guys, we're going to win. We're going to take back our country. We're going to end the nonsense and the bureaucracy and the never-ending wars. And we're going to make America great again. So Arizona, thank you. Get out. Do your part. You guys are the best. I love you. And I will talk to you soon. Thank you, Arizona.
Thank you. People. Wow. All right, Scottsdale. It's good to be in Scottsdale. It's good to be in the great state of Arizona. And in just 3 short days, we are going to return the White House back to the American people. We're going to make Donald J. Trump the next president of the United States. Now, I want to thank Don, of course, for that incredible start. I always hate following Donald Trump Jr., but I can't be too pissed off because I did ask him to speak first. So it's kind of my fault. I got to follow my friend Don. But look, Don, the thing about not just the president, but the family has sacrificed so much in the name of service to this country. And, I I think it's a great credit to the United States of America. It's a great credit to the Republican Party, and it's a great credit to all of us that Don is here fighting to take back the country and fighting to give the American people a president that is actually fit to lead this great country. I know we have the great Senate candidate, Kari Lake. Kari, where are you? I think Kari may have had to step out, but Kari, thank you so much for your leadership and for doing everything that you're doing. Let's go get Kari Lake over the finish line, please, Arizona. We can't do this alone. We can't solve every problem, of course, but we can't even govern effectively unless we've got the right allies in Washington, D.C. Right now, you guys have a far-left radical running, pretending to be a moderate, Ruben Gallego, and on the other side, you've got somebody who's actually going to fight for the people of Arizona. Let's send a fighter for the people of Arizona, the United States Senate. We're thrilled to be joined by Gina Swabina. Gina, thank you so much for being here and for your leadership. Good to see you. We've also got Arizona Senate candidate Corrine Warner. Corrine, where are you? Say hello. Thank you, Corrine. And then finally, we've got Arizona State House Representative Steve Montenegro. Where are you, Steve? Thank you for your leadership, man. God bless you. Now, I was talking backstage with Charlie Kirk, and Charlie Kirk told me, love Charlie, you know, he left just a few minutes ago, and he told me he's got 3 more events just in this area of the state of Arizona. And here's what he told me, that in just this area, we've got 400,000 unreturned absentee ballots from Republicans. And here's what I'm asking you to do over the next 3 days is go and chase those 400,000 ballots. If you know somebody who's got a ballot, tell them to drop it off or get it in the mail. We've got to bank as many, sorry, not the mail. Okay, drop them off. That's right. Do not send them in the mail. Drop them off. Thank you. We'll drop them off, or, of course, on November the 5th is actually Election Day, so get out there and vote for Donald J. Trump, for Kari Lake, and for all of our great candidates. But we've got, think about this, we're in a very, very good spot in Arizona, but I don't want us to get lazy, and I don't want us to rest on our laurels here, because right now, we've got a big, big advantage in the state of Arizona. But here's the question. Are we going to work our tails off over the next 3 days to build on that advantage, to bank as many votes as possible, and to make this thing too big to rig? That is the goal over the next 3 days. Because think about this, the stakes of this thing could not be higher. Arizona knows it better than almost any state in the union. There are 453,000 illegal immigrants in this state because Kamala Harris refuses to do her job. In the United States of America, there are 425,000 criminal illegal aliens, people who have committed murders, people who have committed assaults, people who have gone after our fellow citizens. And I know we've got some United States Marines in the room, right? Great. We want to thank everybody, regardless of their branch of service, but the number of criminal migrants we have in this country, thanks to Kamala Harris's failed border policies, is more than twice the size of the United States Marine Corps. Now, Kamala Harris has rolled out the red carpet to every illegal alien. She's offered to give them free health care benefits. She's promised them to give them Social Security and Medicare, which would bankrupt those programs. Meanwhile, our guy is saying to the illegal aliens in this country, especially the criminal migrants, pack your bags, because in 3 months you're going back home. The cost of this border crisis to the state of Arizona is unbelievable. $1.4 billion that this state spends every single year to care for illegal immigration. What are we doing to the veterans? What are we doing for the veterans who are sleeping under park benches and sleeping all over our country, homeless, when we're spending $1.4 billion to look after people who don't have the legal right to be here? That's what Kamala Harris's policies are doing to this country. What about the fentanyl? The Mexican drug cartels are bringing in by the bushel. I was raised by somebody who struggled with addiction, and I'm proud of my mom. She's been clean and sober for 10 years, my friends, and that's an incredible grace that we've been given. But what happens to second chances when you allow the drug cartels to bring in fentanyl by the ton, which could kill every man, woman, and child in the United States of America? How many of our citizens, how many of our families have been deprived of that second chance with their loved one because Kamala Harris would rather invite the Mexican drug cartels into our country than enforce the law against them? And here's my solemn promise, is that when Donald J. Trump is the president of the United States, we're going to go to war against the Mexican drug cartels, get that poison the hell out of our country, and return basic sanity to the people of Arizona. It's not just the fentanyl, it's the kids who are not getting a good education, because we've got thousands of people in Arizona schools, and a lot of them, let's be honest, are good people. I don't blame them. I blame Kamala Harris for letting the illegal immigration problem fester. But what does it do to the education of an American child when you drop thousands of kids into their school district who don't speak English? What does it do to our healthcare system here in Arizona when you let in hundreds of thousands of people who don't have the right to be here? We can be compassionate, my friends, and we ought to be compassionate, but the compassion for the American president has to start with the American people and the people who have the legal right to be here. Now, one of the biggest problems that comes from illegal immigration, and Kamala Harris doesn't like to talk about it, and neither, of course, does the corporate media who defends her at every step of the way, it is about the effect on housing prices. I really believe that we ought to be fighting for the American dream of homeownership, especially for our young people in the state of Arizona. Think about this. 30, 40 years ago, I hear young people tell me this all the time, that 30 and 40 years ago, you could work a job, you could play by the rules, and you could afford to buy a home. And a lot of our young people feel like they're working hard, they're playing by the rules, but that American dream of homeownership is unattainable. Now, we got to do a lot to fix that. We've got to build more houses, first of all, which means stopping Kamala Harris's ridiculous regulations. We got to lower the cost of energy to make it easier to build houses. That means drill, baby, drill, and stop the war on American energy. But let's be honest, it don't matter how many homes we build, if we have a president like Kamala Harris who gives American homes to illegal aliens instead of American citizens, we are never going to make the American dream of homeownership affordable. So yes, under Donald Trump's leadership, we're going to build more homes. Yes, under Donald Trump's leadership, we are going to make mortgage interest rates more affordable. But most importantly, we are going to fight to ensure that American homes go to American citizens, and that is how we're going to make American home ownership affordable again. And that brings me, of course, when we talk about this affordability crisis, it's not just homes, it's groceries, it's utilities, it's credit card delinquency rates in the state, in this country right now, have just gone north of 9%. You know what that means? That means 1 in 10 of our fellow citizens can't afford to pay the bills. 1 in about 11 auto loan repayments are in delinquency right now, which means that a lot of our fellow citizens can't afford to make their car payment. Donald Trump is going to usher in a golden age of peace and prosperity by fighting for some common sense economic principles that make the American dream for all of you and all of our fellow citizens who we love. We're going to make the American dream affordable again. And that but it's not going to happen. We've got the best country in the world. We've got the best people. We've got the most incredible natural resources. But we're not going to make the American dream more affordable again by doing the same things that made it unaffordable in the first place. And that is what Kamala Harris is offering all of you. It's what she's offering the state of Arizona. is 4 more years of exactly the same policies that brought us to this situation in the first place. A vote for Kamala is a vote for 4 more years of sky-high inflation. It's a vote for 4 more years of unaffordable groceries and unaffordable housing. It's a vote for 4 more years of a wide-open southern border. It's a vote for 4 more years of the fentanyl flooding into our country. And I think the people of Arizona, in 3 days, we're going to send a message. We do not want 4 more years of Kamala Harris's broken policies. Our message to Kamala Harris is, you're fired. Go back to San Francisco, where you belong. We want prosperity for the American people. Now, I will say, as an act of bipartisanship here, I know we have a lot of praying people in this audience, and I am too. And one of the things that we've got to do for Americans of faith, whether you're Christian, Jewish, anything, is we've got to make religious liberty great again in this country. We've got to give people the right to practice their faith as they see fit. But if you are the praying type, maybe spare a prayer for Governor Tim Walz, because I think he's got the toughest job in American politics. I really do. If you think about this, Governor Tim Walz, you wouldn't expect me to feel bad for him because he goes around the country lying about me and lying about President Trump. But let's be honest, he's got to lie about us because he doesn't have anything else to talk about. Because Governor Tim Walz, he can't say that Kamala Harris did anything to lower the price of groceries because, of course, under her policies, the price of groceries got way more expensive. He can't say that Kamala Harris did anything to close down the border because, of course, for 4 years, she did everything that she could to open the border. And the biggest challenge of all is that Tim Walz has got to pretend that Kamala Harris is competent enough to be the President of the United States. That is a tough job. Now, I know that a lot of you have got tough jobs, but you've never had a day at work so bad where you've had to convince the American people that Kamala Harris is fit to be the President of the United States. That is tough work. I saw Tim Walz's plane this morning in Las Vegas, Nevada, when we were flying from there to here, and I just thought to myself, man, he's got a tough job. He's got to go, and I guess he's in Arizona, but somewhere else. He's not in the Phoenix area. I believe he's somewhere else, and I just thought to myself, I've got the easiest job in American politics. I get to go around and talk about the fact that when Donald J. Trump was president, inflation was at 1.5%, and our citizens could afford groceries. It's pretty good. I get to talk about the fact that when Donald J. Trump was president, take-home pay was rising faster than it had in 40 years in the United States of America. People were making more money and keeping more money. I get to talk about the fact that Donald Trump put in the biggest tax cut for working Americans that we'd seen in this country in 40 years, and of course the economy grew afterwards. And I got to talk about the fact, and I get to talk about the fact that when Donald Trump was president, we created millions of high-paying, high-quality American jobs, and we did it in the private sector where most American prosperity actually lives. Now, here's the thing. Governor Walz's job got a little harder because it turns out yesterday that while Kamala Harris has been going around the country bragging about how good the economy is, it turns out that the American economy last month lost 28,000 private sector jobs. The American economy last month lost 46,000 American manufacturing jobs. Now, it's interesting, though. If you read the jobs report, just the top line, it says the American economy gained 12,000 jobs. You know what that means? All government. We created more government jobs than we did lose private sector jobs. And that is, in some ways, the Kamala Harris economy in a nutshell. You're paying higher taxes. You're paying higher grocery prices. You're getting worse jobs with lower wages. But the government bureaucrats who work for Kamala Harris, they're doing just fine. Well, when Donald J. Trump is president, that is going to change. We're going to fire some bureaucrats and make sure we hire American workers at good wages. I will say, one thing nice about Kamala Harris. You'd be surprised. Look, I said something nice about Tim Walz. I asked you to pray for him. And here I am. I'm going to say about Kamala Harris that every time she gives an interview, we gain about 100,000 votes. And I will say that for her. I called the president yesterday and I said, sir, here's our strategy for the last 3 days. You and I, let's just go play golf and let Kamala Harris go out there doing interviews, and we'll win in a landslide. But unfortunately, Kamala Harris runs from the American media just as much as she runs from her own policies. So unfortunately, she's not going to help us out. But a couple weeks ago, she did us a big favor because she reminded the American people of the lie at the heart of her campaign. Remember, this is a person who's the sitting vice president, and she runs around the country pretending that she has nothing to do with the policies of the administration where she is the vice president. You'd almost believe that she's never met Joe Biden, even though she is his vice president. She's bragged about his policies for years, and she only changed her tune about a few months ago when she became the Democrat nominee for president. Now, here's the thing about Kamala. When she's got a teleprompter in front of her, she'll make all these promises, and she'll give you all these slogans, and she'll talk a big game about all the things that she wants to do. But notice, she never talks about what she has done because the actual record is a failure. But every now and then, Kamala Harris will commit a gaffe. And you know what a Kamala Harris gaffe is? It's when she accidentally tells the truth. And it happens at some of these interviews where, she did an interview with The View a couple weeks ago. And I wouldn't recommend watching Kamala Harris on The View. You lose about 20 IQ points, and we need you guys as sharp as you can be for the next 3 days. Wait, after the election, you can watch Kamala Harris on The View. But they ask her the question, well, what would you have done differently over the last 4 years? And Kamala Harris says, nothing comes to mind. Now, that could be the slogan of the Harris-Walz campaign, nothing comes to mind, but think about this, that she said in plain English for everybody to hear that she wouldn't have done anything differently over the last 4 years. That means that if you vote for Kamala Harris, you're going to get more of the same. More of the same open border, more of the same policies that drive up the cost of groceries, gas, and everything else. More of the same failed leadership, more of the same chaos all over the world, and more of the same failed leadership in the Oval Office. But we've got an opportunity to take this country, to take the state of Arizona in a new direction. We've got an opportunity to vote for tax cuts for working families. We've got an opportunity to secure that southern border. We've got an opportunity to give us a president in the White House who can actually do the job. We've got an opportunity in 3 days to make Donald J. Trump the next president of the United States, and that's what we got to do. And there's one difference that's maybe bigger than all the other differences. There's, of course, a lot of policy differences between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. There are a lot of things that we can criticize her on, and we do. But one thing that I think has really come out over the last few days is that while Donald Trump is very good at counterpunching, and while Donald Trump is very good at picking apart the record of Kamala Harris has done something else. She's not been attacking just President Trump or just me. She's been attacking her fellow citizens for daring to think that she has done a bad job. And I know that the media lies about this. They say that, they'll say that, well, the Kamala Harris campaign is the campaign of joy. Well, I think we have a hell of a lot more joy on our side right now, don't you? We're having a lot more fun than they do. But there's no joy when Kamala Harris's boss calls half of America garbage for thinking that they're doing a bad job. There's no joy when Kamala Harris calls the opposition fascists and Nazis for daring to think that Kamala Harris ought to actually do her job rather than just talking about doing her job. When Tim Walz talks about thousands and thousands of patriots gathered in Madison Square Garden for a celebration of this country that all of us love, when he calls those people fascists and he compares it to a Nazi rally, even though there were people in that rally, and I know them, who were actually victims of the Holocaust and survived to tell the tale about it, what he's really saying is that the American people are bad people for disagreeing with Tim Walz and Kamala Harris. And that's, I think, something that we've really got to change in this country. Look, I am obviously standing here asking to be your next vice president. I am a proud Republican because I think Republicans got the best ideas. But we got a lot of Democrats and a lot of independents who are part of this movement. We got Bobby Kennedy and Tulsi Gabbard. We've also got, on the Republican side, Brian Kemp and Nikki Haley. You're welcome. You're welcome in this big tent so long as you believe in common sense, but we have got to stop electing politicians who call half of the country garbage, who call half the country Nazis, who call half the country fascists. Because if you go down that pathway, what you're doing is fundamentally you're telling the American people that they're not allowed to criticize their own government. Well, Kamala Harris, I've got news for you. The mom who's worried about putting food on the table because grocery prices are too high, she's not garbage. She's a patriot for doing her job as a citizen and as a mother. The father I met a few weeks ago who's pissed off that the Mexican drug cartels killed his son, he is not garbage for thinking that you should do a better job going against those Mexican drug cartels. The grandmother I met who's worried about raising her grandchildren in a neighborhood with basic peace and basic security, she's not garbage for thinking that you should back the blue instead of attacking American law enforcement. So our message to Kamala Harris is very simple. We are not bad people for loving this country enough to think that Kamala Harris ought to do a better job. Nobody is a bad person for criticizing their own government. In fact, that is everybody's right as an American citizen. And Kamala Harris, while it is disgraceful to call half the country garbage, in 3 days this country is going to take out the trash in Washington, D.C. So, I'll leave you with one final thought, my friends. One final thought here, and it's this. Like I said, we got to get out there and chase those ballots, encourage those 400,000 to drop them off. Do not mail them in. Drop those 400,000 ballots off. And, of course, if you don't make it before November the 5th, get out there and vote on November the 5th. Because the stakes in this election, it's so much bigger than red team versus blue team. It's so much bigger than just beating Kamala Harris. As much as it's going to be fun to beat Kamala Harris and the Democrats, trust me, I'm going to enjoy it more than any of you will even. Here's what's at stake. What's at stake is that our citizens are struggling. We've got the greatest country in the world. We've got the best natural resources, the most beautiful people, the most beautiful landscapes, and I believe the most talented human beings anywhere in the world, right here in the United States of America. I really do believe that with better leadership, we are on the cusp of a golden age of American prosperity. But we've got to do a better job. And the way to do a better job is to fix what I believe is the only thing that's broken about the United States of America, and that's Kamala Harris's failed leadership in Washington, D.C. So as you're working over the next few days, and as we're doing everything that we can to get people to the polls, I want you to remember just a few of the people that I've met on the campaign trail over the last few months. I met a woman who is a retiree, and for 40 years, she and her husband have done steak night every Friday, but last year, under Kamala Harris's policies, because groceries got too expensive, she stopped doing steak night. I met a mother who's mourning a teenager who took something at a party under peer pressure, something a lot of teenagers do, but instead of her son paying with that mistake with a lecture or getting grounded by his mom, he paid for that mistake with his life. because what he took under peer pressure was laced with fentanyl brought in by the Mexican drug cartels. I've met so many people who can't afford groceries. I've met young people who would love to get married and start a family, but they're worried they're never going to be able to afford to buy a home to raise that family in. Those people, our fellow Americans, they deserve to be able to have steak night on Friday. They deserve to be able to pay their utility bills. They deserve to live in safe and secure communities, and they deserve to have a president who's going to fight for them rather than call them garbage. The only way that's going to happen, my friends, is if we get out there and vote. So let's give the American people a president they deserve. Let's give the American people Donald J. Trump. God bless you all. Thank you for having me, and let's get it done. Thank you.